Forex Nation, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. And welcome to the beginning of the week, Monday. I hope you guys had a good trading Monday. If you traded today, I know I traded today. There was a few trades that were definitely available today for trade. And I wanted to share those specific trades with you so you can kind of get an idea of what was available for you guys to take as well, if you trade like we do here on this particular channel. So without further ado guys, let's get this started here. There was a couple of trades, really about five. First one's going to be Euro JPY. And so on Euro JPY, we're coming off of a peak formation high, so we're looking for sells. And we ended up getting a very nice type 2 setup on Euro JPY here. Essentially ended up getting a trade out of the edge. Essentially got a first leg during Asia session, second leg during the beginning of the London session. Second leg gave you a railroad track with a pullback, and that pullback essentially would be our entry. And right here is your stop loss. Obviously goes above the high of the day, and then essentially you're just going for 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. In this case though, because we have the EMAs in our favor, meaning we can use them for take profit points, well, there's your essential target, basically the 800 EMA. Now if we start looking at the setups themselves, you can see that we ended up getting divergence also on the TDI here as well. You can see we're already moving down while this is still moving at the same rate of direction here. So we get divergence on the TDI, you get the pattern's in the right timing, you get the EMA, the 200 EMA running through that particular second leg, you get a second leg pattern, which in this case it was railroad track, and then you end up getting a pullback as well. So a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio with only 10 pip risk, and you can see all the confirmations are there for you to take the trade. So this was one of the trades that we took. Very good, easy, clean trade setup. Now if you take a look at the other Euro pairs, for example like Euro AUD, we're coming off a peak formation low, so we're looking for buys today. We didn't get any buy options, so didn't need to trade that. Euro CAD, right, coming off a peak formation low, again we're looking for buys. You did end up getting a buy scenario here. The problem is though, with this particular setup, is that you didn't get enough of a pullback to make this an actual viable trade. So the pullback candle, would have been something like this, and so it would not have made sense because you're not getting a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio to take profit at the 800 EMA, because that's where your target would have been. So in order for this trade to be viable, you would needed a pullback at least more than probably half the candle, so it would look more like this. That would have been the correct setup, but you didn't get a pullback far enough to get into that. So that's why that pair didn't produce a trade for us today. Euro NZD, same thing. We're coming off a peak formation low, so we're looking for buys. We didn't get any buy setups. Euro USD, we're coming off a peak formation high. We're actually looking for sell setups, and we end up getting a nice, almost very similar to Euro JPY trade. But if you look on the second leg here, you don't get a real strong railroad track or anything like that. You'd have to wait until price action closes below the 13. That doesn't happen until this big candle, and then you get a pullback. It just wasn't worth it. The risk reward would have been a little bit too off on that for me, so I didn't take that trade. But this one was just simple. Everything was there together, and it just made sense to actually take that trade out of all of the Euro pairs that you're watching. If you move over to the pound pairs, same thing, right? We look for trade setups that are going with our directional bias. So pound NZD, if we're coming off a peak formation low, guess what? We're looking for buys, and we end up what looks like to be a good setup here for a buy, right? We get a good setup here. The problem is the same thing. This bullish candle that takes us out and creates the second leg does not give us a pullback big enough to make the risk to reward ratio profitable. Okay, it doesn't give us a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio, so that's why we didn't take that trade. On pound JPY, coming off a peak formation high, we're looking for sells, and so we ended up getting almost a very similar trade setup to Euro JPY, where you get a trade out of the edge, basically meaning a trade where the first leg is in Asia, second leg is in the beginning of London session. The problem is, again, the entry is all the way down here, and you only get a little bit of a pullback. Just JPY, Euro JPY, seemed to be the better out of all of the JPY pairs to trade, and so that's why I decided to trade that one. We did get a setup on pound CAD though, and so if you look at pound CAD, we're coming off a peak formation low, so we're looking for buys, right? And we ended up getting a nice buy here, a type 2 setup. Ended up being a multi-session setup here in the US session. So the first leg is here, comes down, you get a second leg right here. You get also a star pattern here on the second leg, which is the trigger point. This right here becomes a star pattern, and then you get a pullback. See that big red candle wick right there? That's your pullback, that's your entry. So the pullback is here, the entry's there, and you could see just going to the 800 EMA is a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. Anything after that is a gift, it's free money, right? So this ended up going from 17 pips to essentially 45. Okay. Pound USD also gave us a nice little trade. So on this one, we're coming off of peak formation high, so we're looking for sells. So if we're looking for sells, this is what we end up getting. We end up getting a trade out of the edge. Again, first leg is in Asia, second leg is at the beginning of the London session. We get a star pattern here where you get the big bullish candle, 2 dojis, and then we start getting the red doji candles, or the red selling candles here. So the pullback candle, this candle here does give us a pullback, which gives us the entry for this particular trade. And so the trade would be like this. And again, take profit because you have the EMAs in your favor is going to be the 800. You can see also we have divergence on the TDI as well, as this is the first leg here, second leg is below, while this second leg is actually rising. So you get divergence there. So that's a good confirmation. You get the 200 going through price action, good confirmation. The timing is correct, the pattern is there, and the second leg pattern as well as being a star pattern is there also. So you get multiple forms of confirmation. This is the point that I keep stressing to everyone that's in our mentorship or that's part of FXN Plus, is like, we're not trying to trade every single pair that's out there. We're only looking for the very best possible setups. And so the setups for me, they have to have multiple forms of confirmation, and they got to be going in my directional bias. And that's it. So as long as all those factors are there, I'm more than happy to take the trade. But if it's not, then I just won't take the trade. It's just that simple. So if we look at pound AUD, we were looking for, again, buys because we're coming off a peak formation low. Didn't get any buys, so no trade. Pound Swiss, coming off of peak formation high, we're looking for sells. Did not get any sell setups today, so what? We're not selling. On USD JPY, coming off a peak formation high, we're looking for sells, and you can see it pretty much went sideways the entire thing, didn't give us any kind of actual sell setups. So nothing at all on USD JPY. USD CAD did give us a setup. It was a buy setup because we're looking, coming off a peak formation low, we're looking for buy setups, and we ended up getting, again, another trade out of the edge. Today just happened to be the day for trade out of the edges. I don't know what the hell is going on today, but today was the day. So you can see first leg is in Asia, second leg comes down and is at the beginning of the London session. Again, you get a star pattern on the second leg. Big red candle, 3 dojis this time, and a full bull flag, and then you get the next candle that gives you the pullback. That's the entry right there. You also get divergence on the TDI. So you can see this first leg is lower than the second leg. but on this it's the complete opposite. So you do get divergence going up, and this one's going down. So that's what divergence is. So we end up getting that as a confirmation, which is great. And essentially the trade setup was this. Entry on the pullback, about 7-8 pip of a stop loss, and then your target is, again, you're using the EMAs as your target. 800 is the target over 4.5 to 1 risk to reward ratio. And then the last one that we had was gold. Gold is coming off of a reset, so we're looking for buys, and we end up getting a type 3 setup on gold during London. Here we have price action coming up, and then boom, gives me a star pattern here. Big bearish candle, 2 dojis, and then a big bullish candle. That's your star pattern. You get a pullback on the next candle, and then there's your trade. You're pinning to the 50 EMA. You're pinning to the 50 line also on the TDI. So we're pinning to the 50 as well. So we got the confirmations. We're going in the same directional bias. Everything is there for us to take the trade, essentially. So what does the trade look like? It looks like this. Now in this particular trade, we didn't have essentially the EMAs to use as take profit. So what do? We just go for essentially a 2 to 1 risk to reward ratio, which is like this. And then anything after that is free money, essentially, right? So there's the initial trade setup right there. Okay, so ended up getting a total of 5 good, clear trade setups that met all of our requirements, multiple forms of confirmations, and we went through all the other trade setups that there was nothing there to trade. That was clear and obvious, right? So you look at AUD USD coming off a peak formation high. We're looking for sells. We didn't get any sells, any sell setups that we'd like to trade. Same thing for NZD USD coming off a peak formation. We're looking for sells, right? This was a good move, but we didn't have the pattern that we wanted. Okay, we didn't have the pattern that we wanted. We didn't get a clear pattern here, for me at least, to make this a tradable trade. So we didn't trade it. So at the end of the day, we still got 5 trades, good quality trades with multiple forms of confirmation. And that is what we want. All right, guys, so I hope that walking through these trade setups allowed you to see what we're looking for and how to take these trades that are clear and obvious setups. Now, the important thing is to understand is that these trade setups might not happen every day. So tomorrow, we may not get any trades that we want to trade. So when you have a day like this, like today, that gave you 5 trade setups, take advantage of it. And primarily, I'm done trading for the week, right? So the next trade setups that I take, they're going to have to be really good trade setups with multiple forms of confirmations, because I'm already up 5 trades up. There's no reason for me to put money out there on trades that I'm iffy about or I'm not sure about. The setups have to be right. Everything has to be set according to the rules of my trading plan. And as long as everything is met, I'll take the trade. But if not, I won't do it. All right. So I hope this video brought you guys some value as far as going into entry setups and what you're looking for on these particular pairs. As you can see, our type of trading is just, I keep it very simple. And as long as it's going in my direction, as far as the directional bias goes, that's all I'm worried about. Okay, is looking for pairs that go with my directional bias. If I get setups that way, I'm good. As you saw, if they're not good, then I just don't take them. I don't care. I don't need to trade every single day. All right. But if you guys need help with any of this stuff, especially with the peak formations and things of that nature, we do have FXN Plus. You can sign up for it on our website. The links are in the description. And guys, have a good rest of your week trading.